All right, guys, thank you for joining us. Ryan and I are going to lead this work and hustle hours, and we're super pumped. We're going to do a little quick exercise before we get started, though. We were kind of chatting and trying to organize and talk about what we wanted to bring to you guys. And one of the things we want to do is a bit of a gut check, because sometimes February, you're coming off of January, and it can be a little bit hard, especially it's like if you're in Canada. Particularly, it's hard with all the snow and the weather and everything. So we just want to do a little bit of a gut check and ask you 5 questions to think about. You don't have to answer them on here tonight, but if you're struggling and if maybe your business isn't where you want it to be, these are really helpful questions to ask yourself, to do a little bit of a gut check and to see if there's maybe some areas that you could be focusing a little bit more on. So the first question is, are you committing to a program? And are you sharing that on social media, right? Because if you're inviting people into this challenge group, but you're not committing yourself to a program, then it's going to be hard for you to have other people commit to a program at the same time, right? Like you have to kind of be the product of the product. The second question is, have you shared on social media today? That's our storefront, right, guys? Like that's how we get what we're doing out. That's how we share us, and that's how we reach people, is by sharing, and not just once in a while. It's building that consistency and building that trust over time. So that's my next question. Are you doing that consistently? So not just sporadically on Monday and then Tuesday and then Thursday and Sunday. Are you building that consistency where your followers are saying to themselves, hey, I haven't seen Rye show up today, or hey, I haven't seen Natasha show up today? Because you want to start building that anticipation that they're waiting for something that you're posting. That is how you reach people, and that's how you get people to trust you, is by you showing up consistently and always being there. And if you think about it from a logistical perspective, with the algorithms on social media, realistically only 3% of people are actually seeing your posts when you're posting. So if you're only posting like once or twice or 3 times a week, you're only reaching like a fraction of your followers, right? So that's something to consider. The fourth question is, have you done a social media audit lately? Have you taken a step back and looked at your social media feed to see what are the types of things that you're posting? Is it all CTAs? Is it all sweaty selfies? Because if it is, you have to ask yourself, would you relate to that? If that's all you were seeing from people, would that pull you into someone's story, or would that pull you into them? That's how people relate to you, right? Is sharing this. You still share the sweaty selfies, you still share the nutrition, all that kind of stuff, but it should be diverse, and it should be showcasing you, and it should be sharing your suck. That's what I like to call it. If you're not sharing what you're sucky at or still working towards, how are people relating to you? And it helps you meet people where they're at right now if they can connect with what you're saying and what you've gone through. Last question. How much time are you allocating to your business on a weekly basis or a daily basis? So you have to think about it. If you have goals, if you have bigger goals, income goals for this business, how much time you're allocating to growing that business has to match your goals. So you have to do a little bit of a gut check to say, okay, well, are my goals matching up with how much time I'm investing every week? And I get it. I work full-time. Rye works full-time. The majority of our team works full-time. But it's about sitting down. What I do is I sit down on Sundays and I look at my week and I realistically plan out how much time I can give to the business each day. And I schedule that into my phone, because then it's part of my schedule every week. And it's less likely that I will miss that, because it's part of my goals, but it's also part of my schedule. I think you do that too, right, Rye?
I try to. Yeah, I definitely
do. So that's the biggest thing, is if you don't have massive goals, then that's awesome. And that's totally your business, and you can work with that as you want to. But if you do have massive goals, then making sure you're doing that gut check, periodically throughout the month, throughout the year, to make sure that your goals are matching up with how much time you're investing. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go right into working, because we want to start with inviting. I'm going to pass it over to Rye.
Okay, so I just want to reiterate one thing that Natasha said. So she gave me those 5 questions, which are amazing. When you're doing your social media audit, so when we get off this call, you guys, if you're primarily on Instagram, take like 3 minutes to go and look at your last 4 rows. If it's all something you would post in a challenge group, so a recipe, a sweaty selfie, a coach post, a call to action, you need to start switching it up because there are a lot of coaches out there. There are a lot of personal trainers, there's gyms, there's classes. You need to stand out for you, right? And it's you that you're promoting. It's not Beachbody. So just really think about that. And if you're primarily on Facebook, maybe check your last 10 posts. And if you need help or if you want someone to take a look at your social media, reach out to your coach and someone else can help you and you guys can work together on strategy, kind of switch it up if you think you need a little bit of help. But yeah, so inviting, let's hop right into it. So it's 10 after 9. So I'm going to do a quick overview of what I do for inviting and then Natasha will do hers and then we're going to set a timer and we're going to work. Okay. So what I do is when I'm inviting on a regular basis, tonight we're going to give a time limit because we're on a call, obviously, but on a day-to-day basis, I don't actually set a time for inviting. What I actually do is I pick a realistic amount of invites I'm going to do every single day. So for me, I've been trying to do 25 invites a day. So that's realistic for me. So however long that takes, I do that. So if I do 15 in the morning before my workout, I know that I have to do 10 more later. So what I do is, I don't know if you guys can see this, every morning or even the night before, I write down my numbers. So those numbers are staring at me. So if I only do 3 in the morning, okay, before bed, I have to finish my invites, okay? So it might take a while, yes, but I do have goals. I do have business goals. So I know that I have to be connecting. And not all of these are new invites, you guys. Some of them are follow-ups. Some of them are like multiple follow-ups or conversations I'm having. But think about that. Think about how many people you want to invite every day and make it realistic. Like for me, I tried to do 60 one day and it took way too long. I was like, I can't do this. I'm going to fail. So I knocked it down to 20. I feel good at 25. So pick a realistic number. Maybe for you that's 5. Maybe for you that's 10. But just pick that number, write it down, and do that 5 to 6 days a week, you guys, and then report back because you will start having way more conversations, okay? So and whatever you do, make sure you're tracking at least who you're talking to, who's responding, who you need to follow up with. I don't have my highlighters in here, but what I normally do is anyone who responds, I have a yellow or an orange highlighter. And there's someone I'm connecting with. Anyone that says yes or I've given them the price, I have a yellow highlighter. If it's someone that says no, not right now, I send them a free resource and circle their name so I can connect with them later down the road. And anyone that's a hard no, or they have a coach or they are a coach, I just cross them out. So, and then at the end of the week, I go back and follow up with everyone with a highlighter. So that's just something that I do. Natasha, do you want to jump in and talk to you about your process?
Mine's similar to Rise. I do the same thing. So I have a book that's specifically for inviting. I don't put anything else in that book. And that's what I open up every time I sit down to invite. And so like Rye, I've tried to do the big numbers of inviting, and because of the amount of time that I'm able to dedicate to my business, it just wasn't realistic for me. So now my goal is 25 to 30. That's how much I do every day, Monday to Friday. And I take Saturdays off and Sundays are for planning for the week ahead. But that's because it reflects my goals, right? So what I do the same thing. I write, I keep my coach invites and my challenge group invites separate. I don't know if you can see that or not. And I have a pink highlighter for anyone who's responded. And then I have, I star people who I'm having conversations with. And that's a quick visual for me to go back and see who my follow-up list is, because I write like little notes in the margin too to see what we're talking about or what they were interested in or what I sent them. It's a quick visual for me to go back when I'm trying to build my follow-up list, who I need to follow up with. And at the end of the week, I'm trying to get better at this because I'm still not super great at it. I'm trying to put all of those people who are highlighted or starred or who I've connected with into an Excel, into Streak. So I do the same thing. I don't track who I've sent thank yous to. I only track when they've responded back to me. So anybody who's responded back to me in any way, whether it's an emoji or a like or whatever, I track those people. But anybody I've invited, whether they respond to me or not, I write their name down. And the same thing as Rye, I send them a free resource. So Jody, I know you had a question about free resources. So in 180 United, we have a whole section of free resources you can send people. That could be a recipe. So what I did today is I posted a muffin recipe on my Facebook, and I didn't include the recipe, and I had a whole bunch of people comment. I sent them the recipe, and I sent the recipe to people who even didn't like or comment on my post, but who have not been responding to me at the same time. So it could be anything that you have of value.
Okay. Just have time for 10 minutes. Are you, everyone good? Start with, unless you have a list already ready of people you want to invite, start with people who have been liking or commenting on your posts. Even if they're not fitness or health related, that's a good start to a conversation. You can talk to people who are watching your stories every day. That is not a cold invite, you guys. That is a lukewarm invite. They're watching you. They know what you're up to. Reach out to them. And start from there. Is everyone ready? Yep. Okay, setting the timer. Let's go. We have about 5 minutes left. 5 minutes. All right, guys, take a minute or two, wrap up your invites.
All right, guys. Let me just write down that last person before I forget about them.
How did everyone do? Did you raise your hand if you at least manage 5 invites in 10 minutes? Yes?
Did you guys struggle with anything? Is there something that you found difficult? Jessica, you have your hand risen. Do you want to unmute yourself and you can tell us what it was?
Hey, Natasha. Yeah, I just kind of connected with people from my transformation photo that I posted on the weekend.
That's awesome.
Or,
yeah.
I guess yesterday. There's quite a few people that I'd already messaged previous to my transformation photo. And then there's some that haven't, or that I haven't messaged. So that was what I was doing tonight.
That's awesome. Was there someone else that had a question? Danielle, looks like you have your hand is risen, it says like. Lower hand.
No, that was a mistake.
No. Okay, sweet. If there are any questions, you guys can always pop them in the chat too, or feel free to unmute yourself. Okay, so the next one we're going to chat about is thank yous and connecting. So this piece I find is huge. I find when I slack on my connecting or my thank yous, I find my engagement and my views and all that kind of stuff goes down. So I try to make sure to spend the same amount of time connecting and saying thank you to people as I am inviting, because for me, it's important. I find I get better views with it. So on Instagram, what I do on Instagram versus Facebook looks a little bit different, and Rye can chat about what she does after as well. On Instagram, what I do is anybody who follows me, who is a real person and not a weirdo or a company or another coach or a weirdo, because I get a lot of them. I send them a thank you. And what I've started to do is send them a thank you in a voice message. Because I don't know about you, but I've gotten a whole bunch of people sending me long-winded texts as when I follow somebody, and I find them really icky. So I felt I don't want to come across that way to other people. So I wanted to, I do voice memos. So I'm going to share with you, I have a little script that I wrote down in my notepad of what I send to people, but I voice memo it. Here it is. Okay. So I always use their name. Always. If you can't find usually their name is in their profile. If not, then I'll just say, hey there. But I always say, thanks for the follow. I love that you're following along and watching my stories every day. I basically live on stories, and sometimes you may even see me ugly cry as I fumble through my motherhood journey and my fitness journey. I look forward to connecting with you more. Where are you watching from? And I always end it with a question because I want them to respond back to me. So I've been really successful with doing that. That's what I do on Instagram. On Facebook, all I do is I'll like and comment on people's posts, and I might, if they are liking what I'm posting, even if they're not commenting, if they're liking, I send them a thank you post and thank you for their engagement and how I appreciate it, and then I just ask them how they're doing, and that's what I do. Question: who do you send this to, Natasha? So on Instagram, Jody. Okay, I'm gonna ask one question at a time. So on Instagram, I send that message to anybody who starts following me. For people who are liking and commenting on my stuff or watching my stories on Instagram, I send them invites. So my thank yous, I reserve for people who just started following me. I go through them each day. On Facebook, it's my friends. So I'll like and comment on my recent friends, and I will then send thank yous to people who are liking and loving on my posts. Jody, do you voice memo on Facebook too? I do. Yep, I do. I just find it more personal, but that's just me. Is there a specific place you can see new followers, or just go through your list? Yeah, I just go through my list on Instagram. On Facebook, you can see your newly connected friends. If you go to like your feed on Facebook, and then you go to friends, click friends at the middle tab. Oh my God, you can't see this. The middle tab will say recent, and if you click recent, it'll show you who your recent connections are, your recent friends. So those are the people I love and connect on, and then I send thank yous to everybody else. So let's take, we don't have much time left on our call here, so let's take 2 minutes and just send, I know that's not a lot, but you can spend more time afterwards. Let's do a 2 minute, or what do you think, Ryan? 2 or 3 minutes?
Yeah, just send like 5 thank yous.
Yeah, send 5 thank yous.
Yeah.
Okay, and go. Okay, guys. Woo, there's the timer. So that was a quick one, but you can allocate how much time you want to connecting. I usually do the same amount of time as I do for inviting. That's my go-to. But it takes less time, so you can connect with more people. I usually aim for about 20 new connections. Okay, so Rye, did you want to talk about adding to the network? I think because follow-ups we kind of added to invites, right? We kind of talked about follow-ups and invites together. I think you're muted. Rye, you're muted.
That would help. Okay, growing your network. So this is huge because if you're a new coach, or if you're new to Instagram or you're new to Facebook, you already have a small pool of followers or friends. So you need to work on building that up so you always have new eyes on your stuff. You always have new people to talk to. You always have new people who are checking out your stories or your posts. Otherwise, you're going to run into a cycle of, I have no one else to talk to. So I have lately been trying to add at least 15 to 20 people on Facebook, and then 50 to 100 on Instagram. And it might seem like a lot, but it really doesn't take that much time once you get into a flow. Facebook is quite easy. You can go into your like suggested friends, but I think what works better for me, and I think Natasha and a few other people do this as well, check out your friends of friends. So if you have a lot of good friends, check out who they're friends with. I'm sure there's probably tons of people who you know, you've gone to school with, you've worked with, or that you just look like you might vibe with, and add them as a friend. And then for Instagram, what I do, I actually do the same thing. I go to my friends and I go to their followers and I follow them. They're all real people. They're most likely not Beachbody coaches, and they're not companies. So that is what's been working really well for me. And it's so fast. I don't even have to really spend that much time. I can do 25 in a few minutes, and then I just do another 25 a little bit later. So you can only do 50 actions on Instagram at one time. So just kind of pay attention to that for, I think it's a 1 hour span. So that's what I do. You can always go into like lifestyle blogs that you like or mommy bloggers and see who's following them or liking them, or you can go to your hometown and check out some restaurants or attractions there. There's so many different ways. You can use hashtags as well. For me, that just takes way too much time to go through a hashtag. I find the hashtags are, a lot of the hashtags I was looking at were coaches or network marketers. So that's something I do. So we only have about 4 minutes left on the call. So pick either Facebook or Instagram and add as many people as you can in the next few minutes, and then finish up all of these tasks after the call. Okay, so we'll set a timer for 2 minutes, and then that'll leave a minute at the end. And just a little hint, if you're just randomly adding people on Instagram, I would suggest taking like a half a second to check out their profile to see if they're already a Beachbody coach, or if they have like 40,000 followers, you're probably not going to follow them or bother following them. So just kind of take a quick peek before you hit the follow button. So guys, I know I'm still chatting and you guys can keep following at the same time, but if you're a newer coach or if you're trying to still build your network fast, I would up your number, especially on Instagram, to like 200, 250, like add as many people as you can, because a lot of those people won't follow you back. So you got to just continuously follow. Okay, timer went off.
200 seems like a lot, but it really isn't. Like it takes maybe 20 minutes. Maybe.
And I do it when I'm watching TV.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Same. Best unfollow app. I like the unfollow. What is it called, right? Cleaner. That's it. Yeah. It looks like that. Oh, you can't see it. Kayla, I find it really difficult to keep up with my numbers. Following lower than my followers. Yeah. It'll get better as you grow your network, right? Like as you have more people, then that number won't really mean as much. But I agree. When I was growing, I was like, ooh, that's a lot. But you just, like at the end of it, you can even do it every few days. You can remove, right? As you're building. That's okay though. Like mine was like that too. Now that I'm above 7, it's fine. But that one costs money. Yeah, it was $2.99. I was okay with investing $2.99 in my biz. But if you can find the other one, then that's fine, a free one. Sorry, that was for the unfollow app. So hopefully you guys found that useful. We're going to post the recording in both Fierce Factor and in 180 United. So if there's any questions, then just pop on that post and just ask your questions and we will answer.